place and you don't know what to pray or you don't know what to think, those words are enough. How great is my God? How great is my God? The God we talk about is so great, actually, that it extends way beyond the United States of America. Although many people think we're quite privileged to have God living here. I love the name unity because it really signifies our co-joining of a spiritual path with all those spiritual paths in the world that are climbing up the same mountain, but maybe from different sides and different angles. So today we are celebrating with millions and maybe billions of other people in the world a wonderful holiday called Diwali. Diwali is a Hindu festival that lasts for 4 and 5 days and begins today. Now, the reason that's important, I believe, is because there's over 1 billion Hindu all over the world, including the United States, 240 Sikhs who also celebrate this holiday, and 4.2 million Jain people who celebrate this holiday. This is a huge part of our planet that is celebrating this holiday. And if we truly claim to be one in spirit with people, if we truly say, oh, we are one with all people, then I think we kind of need to know what Diwali is all about. And you will be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if you come away today thinking, you know, I think I'm really Hindu. God bless the light shining in you. So I want to show you, this is the Festival of Lights, and I want you to see what it looks like, little bits and pieces, in India.
Diwali is to many Indians what Christmas is to Christians. In essence, it commemorates the victory of the forces of light over the forces of darkness. Here, flower vendors work feverishly to create garlands of fragrant jasmine that Indians will use to adorn their homes. You may see a curious sight. People hunched in front of their doorways, pouring colored sand on the ground. The sand takes the shape of a lotus blossom, a symbol of welcome, and today, millions of symbols of welcome will grace the nation's doorways. Indeed, Diwali is all about sharing. If you're staying in a private home, don't be surprised if the neighbors show up with plates of delicious holiday treats.
Happy Diwali!
Happy Diwali, Abhirami.
It's also customary for families to go to the temples together on this day. They often dress in fine new outfits, purchased especially for Diwali.
So this is an occasion for all of us to rejoice and be with the family and enjoy all the good things in life. So we buy good clothes and make good food.
Some cities also put on spectacular public displays of fireworks, like this one in Delhi. But no matter where you are, there are smaller, more intimate fireworks displays. A long day of celebrations is coming to an end, and it's going out with a bang.
What a holiday! It's so much like holidays we have in this country. Think about it. What kind of holiday do we have where there's colored lights strung up all over the buildings and everywhere? What is that holiday? Christmas. And what is the holiday where we all get our new clothes on and we all go to church together? Easter. And what holiday is it where we have all the family come together and celebrate all the good things that are happening to us? Thanksgiving. And what holiday do we have where we go door to door giving away food? We don't. Fooled you. We have a holiday where you go door to door knocking on the door looking for candy. We just had it. This is a holiday. It's a whole different kind of holiday. And what sort of holiday do we have where there are fireworks going on all the time? So imagine millions and millions of people all around the world for the next 4 days celebrating a single holiday that combines all of our fantastic holidays into one. This is a very big deal, folks. I want you to get Diwali is huge. Big. We're going to talk about it because it's actually a very spiritual holiday. Christmas is supposed to be a spiritual holiday too for us, although it's questionable for whoever doing it. But at the root of it, there is spiritual truth. Diwali is a whole festival about spiritual truths. And some of those truths are, number one, the awareness of the inner light. I'm going to come back and talk about each of these. 2 is the Atman. 3 is victory of good over evil, which essentially means the triumph of knowledge over ignorance. 4 is compassion and oneness. And 5 is the advent of Ananda, which is a Sanskrit word that means peace and joy. The first one says the awareness of the inner light. That's the light that we talk about here in Unity when we say that there is a spark of divinity in all people. When we say we were created in the image and likeness of God, so there is in us a piece of divinity. Martha Smock is a wonderful Unity writer, and she wrote, "What we realize we are, for realization is the awareness of the Christ, the true reality, the perfection that was and is and always shall be, that exists in the heart of all." So what we are calling the Christ, they may call something else. In fact, they do, but it's the same thing. It's that place of divinity inside. Eknath Eswaran was a wonderful Indian spiritual teacher that lived in the San Francisco area. In fact, he was Owen's guru master for many years when Owen, our tech guy, lived in San Francisco. Eknath Eswaran was from India, and he shared a beautiful custom that happens there during Diwali. And I love this, and I'm going to encourage you to practice this at home. On the morning of Diwali, now, when we have Christmas, kids jump up and run downstairs and get presents, right? When Diwali, it's different. In Diwali, the parents or the elder of the home will take a mirror and decorate it with colorful flowers, and then it will go up to the person who is in bed, sleeping, and they'll say, "Wake up, wake up," and they hold this. Now, here's the really best part. The person, the child, the relative knows what they're supposed to say, and what they're supposed to say is, "Behold, the face of God." Now look at the mirror and say it. It's hard, yeah. Behold the face of God. Try it.
Behold the face of God.
Who do you see? Face of God. Behold the. Try it.
Behold the face of God.
Behold the face of God.
Go.
Behold the face of God.
Try look inside here now.
Hi.
Hi. Try Sam.
Behold the face of God.
God. It's not easy, do you think? It's not easy. What an amazing way to wake up. What an amazing gift to give to your children. Instead of saying, "Wake up, Santa Claus come," or "Wake up and get ready for school, you're late, you're overslept." And so wake up and say, "Hey, behold, this is who you are."
Behold the face of God.
That would be you. That's awesome. Now, why is this hard? Oh, come on. You don't know why it's hard? Take a guess.
We're afraid.
We're afraid. What are we afraid of?
We're afraid of being
We're afraid of being
God.
being God, being that divine thing. Why else?
Studying Christianity, become a Sufist, understand other cultures.
Of course. Those are really good ways to see that. Really good ways to see it. But the reason we don't see it is because personally we know ourselves better than anybody else. And we look at that face and we go, "Excuse me, I know who that person is, and that is not the face of God." So here's your little exercise. In your bulletin today, I printed up a little card for you. You want to pull that out? And I have some homework for you. What does it say? Well, let's say it all together. What does it say? Behold the face of God. Okay, now here's your homework. You're supposed to go home and you're going to take that mirror and guess where that thing, and guess where you're going to put it? On your mirror in the bathroom. Tape it right there. So that when you're in the morning getting yourself ready, you look and there's something you need to say to yourself. Behold. Behold the face of God. We don't necessarily feel that way because we get lost up in the external parts of our lives. In the way we look. Oh, look at, there's another wrinkle, there's gray hair, there's baggy eyes, and blah, blah, blah. But that's not who you are. The real essence of who you are is that core inside yourself that is part of what Martha Smock called that Christ. And that's what we need to see. So we need to keep saying it until we see it. And I'm going to tell you today how you can actually kind of come to see that. The Atman is what the Hindus would call what we are calling the soul. It's a Sanskrit word that means the inner self or the soul. It's the true self of an individual beyond identification with the phenomena, which means the outside world, the essence of an individual. Now, what they're saying then is, when you look in the mirror, don't see Juliet. Don't see Kirk. We are to see the essence of who we are. And that essence of who you are is a divine soul created in the image and likeness of God. And that's what we need to see. We need to train ourselves to see beyond the external into the truth of our being. Now, that's kind of easy for us to do to a certain degree. Sometimes it's easier to do for other people. We can see it in them, but we don't see it in ourselves. Meister Eckhart was a great 13th century Christian mystic. He said, "In every face I see the face of God." So this practice is not only seeing it in yourself, but it's about seeing it in others as well too. In fact, one of the things I love about this is one of the other traditions they have in the Hindu culture is when a child misbehaves or they're acting up, instead of scolding them, the mother would say, "You're a saint. Now start acting like it." Wow. What if when I was growing up, instead of "stop that crying, I'll give you something to cry about," or "grow up," it was, "You're a saint. Now start acting like it." What an amazing affirmation to give to children and to give yourself and to each other. So from now on, when people you are with are not acting the way you think they should act, less than their highest in selves, I hereby give you permission to say to them, "You're a saint. Start acting like it." Because it calls us forth into that perfect divine essence. Charles Fillmore said, "In the innermost center of every man, the indwelling Christ resides." Charles Fillmore was the co-founder of this movement called Unity. And he says at the center, that indwelling Christ resides. And that's the same thing for Hindus as the Atman. The third thing in Diwali that's really important, which is sort of what it's called the Festival of Lights, is the victory of good over evil, or more metaphysically, it's the triumph of knowledge over ignorance. Because knowledge is the way that we come to know who we really are. It's from the knowledge that we come to understand our connection with God. And in that, it dispels away the darkness. Charles Fillmore, again, the co-founder of Unity, said, and one of my favorite of all quotes, he said, "All understanding has only one purpose, and that is to move us from the center of the mind to the heart, where the power of love is awakened. And then God tells him that love is the greatest of all men's power, and that head knowledge must decrease so that heart knowledge can increase." So all of this learning, the knowledge, moves us into the heart. This 18 inches is the difference between heaven and hell. You can live up here and know everything and be miserable. But when you bring it down to here, it's different. Love rules and life changes. Course in Miracles says it this way: whenever light enters darkness, the darkness is banished. Now, are there places in your lives that you are not really pleased about and you would like to see changed? You don't have to raise your hand, and you don't have to nudge your neighbor either. There are we all have stuff, don't we? We all have things that we're kind of like, I need to work on that. So this is a key point for your spiritual growth. Because what the Course in Miracles is saying, and what everybody else is saying, is when there's light, the darkness goes away. So I have some darkness, and instead of focusing on the darkness, I need to focus on the light. For example, supposing your issue is weight. It's a big issue in America. It's a big issue all over the world. And so you're really concerned about your weight. So you focus on your weight. And everything you look at tells you, oh, my weight's an issue, and this is an issue, and that's an issue. There's a book that's down there in the courtyard called 10. And one of the chapters in that book is called Expand It. And it says, whatever we focus on grows. Whatever we're putting our attention to is growing. So if I'm putting attention to my overweight body, what do you think is going to happen to my body? It's going to get bigger. Oh, well, now, hey, what is that? Yeah. But now supposing I put my attention on the other things, on the light things like, okay, exercise. I need to change the way I eat and eat more healthy. I need to eat more vegetables. I need to do things. If we start focusing on those things, which are the light things instead of the dark, what do you think is going to happen to this body? It's going to shrink. Not because I focused on its bigness, but I focused on the light. And this is a really powerful teaching. Instead of dealing with the darkness, instead of dealing with the challenges, we live in the solution of those things. And we focus on that, then that expands. And according to Course in Miracles, as soon as the light gets bigger, the darkness just goes away. We don't even have to think about it. It goes away. The last thing comes to is compassion and oneness. And geez, unity is all about that. We're all talking about compassion, and these are fundamental teachings of Jesus. Paul, the great apostle, said, it started when God said, light up the darkness. And our lives filled up with light, and we saw and understood in the face of Christ all bright and beautiful. Wow. Here's what he's saying, the same thing I've been saying. When we fill up with light, then we see things differently. So supposing, now you don't have to raise your hand or anything, but is there someone in your life who is, really less than living their Christ self? And it's kind of irritating. You don't have to raise your hand, but it's okay if we all say their name at one time, okay? 1, 2, 3. We all have those people, right? And have you ever tried to change people? Those of you that are married, raise your hand. How does that work? Not so good. Not so good. We can't change them. But here's what the Apostle Paul is saying. When our lives are filled up with light, then we saw and understand, and we see the face of Christ in everything, bright and beautiful. So when I say that thing, Meister Eckhart says, I want to see every face I see the face of God. It's not because he was surrounded with godly faces. It's because he had the light within himself that changed the way he saw. So if you're struggling with how to see people and their divinity, it has nothing to do with them. It's all about us. Oh, man. Couldn't it be just a little bit about them? No. And the last one is the joy of Ananda, peace and joy. It's a Sanskrit word meaning peace and joy. What holiday do we have that we talk about peace and joy all the time? Na, 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 na. Christmas, of course. Ananda is that deep sense of peace and joy. The co-founder of Unity, we always talk about Charles, but the real heart of this movement was a woman named Myrtle Fillmore. It was his wife. And she said this, happiness comes with the realization that you are expressing what God has implanted in you. So all these things we've been talking about, this is all what Diwali is all about. And it's all what we're about, too. So is Unity Hindu? You betcha. Is Unity Buddhist? Probably. We're all those things. That's why the name is Unity. We find that truth in everything. And this is a powerful truth. So when we want happiness, instead of looking all around outside for it, what do we need to do? We need to let the light come here, because what she says is when you express this true self of who you are, then there is Ananda. And it doesn't make any difference what the circumstance is, what the people you're dealing with is, or anything. If this true inner light comes out, you have Ananda. I want you to exercise this beholding the face of God this week. I want you to understand that if you can embrace these truths and begin to see not only God in your own face, but in other people's faces, if you can see your own value, if you can acknowledge the power of light over darkness in your life, then you will truly be celebrating your own personal Diwali. Mabarak Diwali. Will you close your eyes with me for just a moment? We're going to come into a time of meditation, and I'm going to ask you to just drift to the center of that place of your being, that sacred place, where that piece of divinity of you lives. And you may not be familiar with it, but it's there. And in that place, make an opportunity for you to connect with God. Because you are one together. And in that connection, feel the surge of light that flows through you. See how it can change the way you see everything. As we come to God now in the sacred and holy silence.